Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Putri Ariyani Muslimin from PBIB, a student at the State Islamic University of Alauddin Makassar, majoring in English Education Department, and now I'm in the 5th semester. As for this video, it was made to fulfill the final assignment for the Curriculum and Material Development in ELT course, of which there are three phases that we will discuss in this video. The first is initial phase, how to manage need analysis. In the initial phase, 3 steps need to be done. The first is making a decision on need analysis, how to decide the participant, the information required in need analysis, the instrument to do the need analysis. The second is gathering information in need analysis, how to distribute the questionnaires, process the data, present the data, analysis the data of need analysis. And the last stage is using the information in need analysis, formulating needs inventory, formulating goals and objectives. The next phase in the development phase. In the development phase, 3 steps need to be considered. The first is selecting organizing course content, how to select the major topics and determine the order of the topics, planning course structure, design syllabus. The second is developing the teaching material, how to write a lesson plan, determine the organizational structure of the teaching material. And the third is reviewing and validating the teaching material. And the last phase in the review phase. In this phase, there are also 3 points to be discussed. The first is teaching instructional materials, how to decide the instructional material to be present, to determine the procedure in teaching the instructional material. The second is evaluation, learning outcomes, how to decide the use of the formative of summative evaluation. And the third is summative evaluation, how to find our student reaction or attitude, measuring what the student have learned, finding out teacher behavior, showing the result of the evaluation. Alright, let's just move on the first material, the initial phase. In the initial phase, we will discuss how to manage a need analysis. To carry out a need analysis, 3 stages need to be considered. The first is making decision about the need analysis. The second is gathering information, and the last is using the information. Alright, straight away the first, making decision about need analysis. There are several parts that need to be considered in making a decision, namely who will be involved in the need analysis, what type of information should be collected, and what point of view should be present. First, who will be involved in the need analysis? At this stage, we must first determine the target group to whom we will request information. For example, students in a program, teachers, administrator, and alumni. The second is the audience, namely the people who will ultimately be asked to act based on the analysis, such as teacher assistant, program administrator, or supervisor, and the bureaucracy above the linguist program. The third is the need analysis, the person responsible for conducting the need analysis. The fourth is the search group, people who serve a search of information about the target group, for example, parents, potential employers, or professor of a student content course. After determining the people who will be involved in the need analysis, the next step is to decide what kind of information is needed in the need analysis. The second, determine the type of information need analysis. There are four philosophies to consider when gathering this type of information. First, discrepancy philosophy, information that perceive student need, need, need is consistent with what they are doing. For example, we can ask two questions then that can be used for comparison. For example, the first question might be how important do you think learn speaking skill is an English education program? Then the second question reads, how often do you use English in everyday life? From the answer to these two questions, we can later find out whether their desires are proportional to what they are doing or even not appropriate. And the next, democratic philosophy. Information that feels need at the most desired by the majority of the group, the most desirable learning. For example, we can ask about they improve their speaking skill. And the next, analytic philosophy. Information on the acquisition of a language. For example, we can ask how they got their second language. Diagnostic philosophy. Information that views needs as the most important language skill need by student. For example, we can ask how important vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation are in the process of learning to speak. The third is, the next step is to present the types of information in the form of a questionnaire. The second is collecting information about analysis. The stage where the process of collecting analysis data and processing data for questionnaires is carried out. There are two important things that must be done, namely distributing questionnaire to needs analysis participants and processing data from questionnaires and other necessary instruments so that the collect data is included in the needs inventory. Before distributing the questionnaire, we first need to carry out the process of gathering information to selecting the type of question. There are 5 types of question. The first is question of identifying the problem. This type of question is given to identify the problem that is being experienced by the target group. The second is a priority question. This type of question usually investigates what topic, language use, and skill the target group consider most important for learning. The third is question of ability. This type of question focuses on student abilities. The fourth is the question of attitude. Questions were made to reveal information about participants' feelings and attitude toward program elements. The fifth is the question of solution, a question that brings a solution to a problem. After considering the types of questions to be used in the need analysis questionnaires, the need analysis must be determined the most appropriate instrument for gathering need analysis information. There are 6 categories of information. The first is evaluable information test, observation interviews, meeting, and questionnaires. The data collected from the introductory question was used to indicate the participant situation and the perception of the importance of the evaluability of the one speaking course in the English education study program. In addition, the 2 types of information. linguistic needs and learning needs were analyzed into three categories identified as level of proficiency, level of importance, and level of frequency. To clarify the presentation of the data, some data were analyzed using diagram to see the distribution of the frequency level and the level of importance using language scale. The entire data is then analyzed to find out an inventory of the needs of the target group in language learning, which is then used as a basis for formulating the aims and objective of learning and design a one-syllabus speaking course. The third is using information. The information obtained from the question data that has been carried out will be used to create a curriculum and syllabus, and can also be used as a basis for developing test materials, teaching activities, and evaluation strategies. In the other words, the need analysis will form a rational basis for all other curriculum component and syllabus designed for a given language program. A. Formulating needs inventory. Need inventory from the linguist needs identification of linguistic need is done by analyzing student learning abilities and learning properties. The results of the analysis are used to prioritize the component of speaking skills and choose the appropriate teaching material need to design the syllabus for speaking course. Second, need inventory from the learning needs needs. Studying the study were identified by analyzing a learning problem and student learning attitudes. Student learning problems are described based on the analysis or respondents, perception, student, lecturer, and graduates about barriers to student learning success to be able to speak effectively in speaking subject. Meanwhile, to explain the student attitude, the author analyzed student preference and learning style based on respondents. Perception because the two factors are believed to influence student attitudes in learning. B. Formulating goals and objectives. Things that need to be considered in determining goals and objectives are: 1. Identifying student learning abilities in speaking. 2. Determine which language component are must need to be learned as a priority. 3. Identifying the most preferred real-life topic and basic grammar. 4. Identify the obstacles or problems that are most experienced by students. 5. Identify the learning preference and learning style that are most preferred by students. In the development phase, there are three stages that need to be considered. The first are selecting and organizing course content. A. Selecting syllabus content. In this section, the selection of syllabus content is done by selecting the main topics and determining the order in which the topics will be present in the class. As for how to determine the main topic according to Richards, the information collected during needs analysis contributes to the planning of course content as the additional ideas from other research such as available literature on the topic, published material on the topic, reviewing the course, similar from an elsewhere, verifying tests or exam in the area, analyzing student problem, consulting with teachers who are familiar with the topic, as well as consulting with specialists in the area. The result of the need analysis and consultation can be made into a list of topics. After knowing how to choose the main topic, the next step is is to determine the order of the topic. According to Richard, the order of content in a course can be determined based on the following criteria. 1. Simple to complex. Previously present content is taught more simply than later item. 2. Chronology. Content is sorted according to the order in which events occur in the real world. 3. Needs. Content is ordered according when students are most likely to need it outside of class. And 4. Prerequisite learning. The sequence of content reflects what is needed at one point as a foundation for the next step in the learning process. 5. While to part or part to whole. In some cases, material at the beginning of a course may focus on the overall structure or organization of a topic before considering the individual components that make up it. Alternatively, the course focus on practicing the part before the whole. 6. Spiral sequencing. Recycling items to ensure the learner have repeat opportunities the student them. B. Planning course structure design syllabus. The idea of design a course syllabus can be started by choosing a syllabus framework, which usually has a close relationship with the development of teaching material based on the formulated syllabus framework. In the planning the course structure or syllabus, it should be arranged based on student needs. For example, in the speaking course, student needs include how to introduce themselves, then get to know and introduce their family members, tell about their daily habits personally, explain their responsibility and the family, tell about activities carried out in their spare time in the family environment. Outside the family environment, then they need to interact with the environment at home. 2. Developing the teaching materials. There are two procedures that must be considered. The first is how to write a lesson plan. In a language program, lesson plan function to identify learning objectives and mark routes, activities for each stage of learning. Purpose 6 important elements that must be considered in preparing lesson plans. Namely, 1. Goals, 2. Objective, 3. Material and equipment, 4. Procedure, and 5. Evaluation, and 6. Extra classwork. Defining a teaching plan will keep both teacher and student focused on their goals, how they will get there, and what must be accomplished when they arrive. B. Determine the organizational structure of teaching materials. Teaching materials. Then the section were developed based on the result of the need analysis that had previously been transformed into the syllabus and lesson plans. The organizational structure of teaching material for this research is planned by units, where each unit represents a topic and consists of 3 lessons. Lesson identified as lesson A. Gaining skills lesson, B. Using skills, and lesson C is review. 3. Reviewing and validating the teaching material. The review of teaching material is carried out by providing instruments used to examine the elements of teaching materials, namely content, language component, activities, and complementary material. Content refers to the subject or topics covered in the teaching materials. To evaluate the effectiveness of the content of teaching material, there are several comprehensive statements that can be given regarding the content review, including the diversity of topic, relevance of topic to level and needs, contribution of topic to the development of language skill, and originality of material in topic. Language component. Language component refer to vocabulary, include pronunciation, word class, meaning, and diction. Grammar, sentence structure rules, and language function. The use of language in social context. Activities. Activities can be defined as action of the learning process carried out to achieve certain goals. Action in this case refers to the opportunity provided to ensure student participant in the achievement of knowledge by collecting information and processing it by doing assessment and tests in class. Supplementary materials. Supplementary materials refer to instruments or media that are added to support and enhance teaching activities. Some suggest statements regarding the review of complementary materials are instrument or media to learn certain language component. Evaluability of hands-out. There are several hands-out for each lesson. Availability of authentic materials such as photos, and the last page is the review page. In the review page, there are three stages that will be discussed, namely teaching instructional material, how to decide the instructional material to be present, determine 3 topics and are chosen randomly among the 11 topics of the teaching material development. The 3 topics selected to be tested in the classroom are use an example of implementation procedure in the review phase. Each topic is implemented in 2 general sections with specific the allocation and procedure for each. B to determine the procedure in teaching the instructional material. The implementation of the course content usually takes place for 3 consecutive hours involving 15 students. The implementation of the evaluating aims the effect of teaching material on increasing the communicative competence of the target student after going through the trial procedure. Therefore, the evaluation is carried out immediately after the implementation step is carried out. 2. Evaluating learning outcomes. How to decide the use of formative or summative evaluation. Summative evaluation refers to checking what has been learned at a certain point in time, namely at the end of the course. It based on cumulative learning experience, tests of achievement, and mastery of specific performance goals, while formative evaluation focus on the determining which aspect of the design are working well or not, and why. This evaluation occurs during the design and provides information for incrementally improving the interface. In the other words, formative evaluation is used in an iterative process to make improvement before production, and summative evaluation is used to evaluate the delivered product compared to benchmark. 3. Summative evaluation. According to Kirkpatrick, summative evaluation can be carried out in 4 main levels, namely a reaction. The first level is evaluation is done by assessing student reaction or attitude towards the learning experience. The most appropriate instrument for this level is a questionnaire to find out whether students like to learn from the instruction given or not. B. Learning. This level aims to measure what students have learned from the material present by comparing their performance before and after receiving instruction. Giving pre-test and post-test is considered very effective to show that learning has occurred as a result of instruction. C. Behavior. At the level of evaluation, teacher needs to be involved in determining the student can actually use everything they have learned from the material. To evaluate this, the lecturer refined learning outcomes by assessing student performance with respect to instruction. Questionnaires were also given to teachers to obtain information. The result: after conducting the previous three levels of evaluation, the effectiveness of the communicative competency-based syllabus design for one speaking course, independent variable, can be measured in two aspects, namely the influence of instructional design on student achievement, where the syllabus improved is communicative competence dependent variable. Based on student response, the result of the pre-test and post-test, as well as lecturer perception of student performance. When the evaluation level comes to decide whether the results of the previous evaluation procedure indicate that the training program has achieved its objectives. The material is received and transformed into syllabus design that is ready to be used in our actual education content. Of going through the review stage, the syllabus design becomes a communicative competency-based syllabus design for undergraduate student. Okay, I think enough that I can say. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.